Chapter 10, Launch for Growth to Success. There's a lot of good examples of growth stories in this chapter that I want you to take a look at, like Dropbox. Definitely read about that because you can learn so much as an entrepreneur from other companies that started with just an idea and end up being successes. So, jumping to the material here, and I really want to highlight the stuff I think that will help you most as you build your business plan in this class. And you have to think back to very early in this class. I actually introduced you to an excerpt from a reading. It was a chapter from a reading by Eric Ries called The Lean Startup. And the takeaway from that lean startup is something called the minimum viable product, the MVP. And you've heard me say that a lot in this class, and I'm going to say it again. If you want to start making luxury automobiles, it's going to take you years before you can make your first luxury automobile. In the meantime, you can make things that are, well, smaller products, leaner products. If you want to make luxury automobiles, you ought to get pretty good at making regular automobiles. If you want to get good at making automobiles, you might better make, motorcycles first. And if you want to make motorcycles, you might better make bicycles first. And if you want to make bicycles, you might better make skateboards first. So your lean startup in a transportation mode, when you eventually want to end up with a Rolls Royce, is a skateboard. You've got to start with a lean minimum viable product. So that's what the lean startup's all about. If you're like a lot of people I know, you probably skipped that chapter reading, which is really tragic. You definitely need to go back and look at the reading list and look for the Lean Startup Minimum Viable Product reading by Eric Ries. And if you want a bit of a summary, here it is. In your reading, right below figure 10, we start talking about the entrepreneur and author Eric Ries, and he talks about his methodology, and we want to go through that, the minimum viable product. And it's very simple. It's just three-pronged here. You build something. You eventually want to get to a luxury automobile, but you build a skateboard to start. You measure how it's received by the market you're trying to penetrate. You learn from that, and then you build some more, and you measure, and you learn, and you build. So you build a skateboard, you measure how that works, what doesn't work. You learn that. You use that to build your bicycle. Then you measure, then you learn, then you build your motorcycle. Then you build your car. You measure and you learn. And then you build your luxury car. Then you measure and you learn. This happens over years. It's a very simple concept, but this happens over years. So definitely read about initial platform design, which is a minimum viable product. It's the skateboard to your luxury car you eventually want to have. This is why I'm having you guys drill down into who's your first customer. How many are there? Where are you going to start? Everybody wants to say, yeah, man, I want to sell this to the entire world. The entire world doesn't know about your product. They may not even want your product. Find 5 people that do, and then figure out how to make that 550, and that 50, 500, and that 500, 5,000, and that 5,000, 500,000, that 500,000, 5 million. And you've taken your lean startup to something much, much greater. You can't start with the 5 million number. You can start with the 5 people, and then that'll lead to something else bigger, and something else bigger, and something else bigger. So remember the lean startup, read all about it. I want to skip down here. There's something called the lean pitch, and this is speaking more about selling your product. And if you're ever going to offer or take, if you're ever going to take Entrepreneurship II, there would be much more of a selling aspect in Entrepreneurship II, because you would take these business plans that you've developed now and continue on to the second leg of this class. But I want you to look at lean startup pitching as an opportunity to make your business plan better. So forget all the tips. You can read the tips. Look at the steps here. Tell an exciting story that quickly moves into tangible results. That is what your business plan should be. It's not a term paper. It's a document that helps someone convince someone to invest in your business, to get a loan, to get an investor, to get an angel investor, to get what you need. So to get their attention, tell a story. Why does this world need your business? Then you describe a problem and offer your solution and what makes you unique. That seems like that's, so hey, get a hook, get a story, why this needs to exist. It can be funny, that's okay. It can be tragic, that's okay too. It can be just interesting, that's great. Describe the problem and how your solution is unique and why the world needs it. Then, this is what we've been working on here, describe your target market and how it'll benefit from the product. So that is your first 5 people. That is your people on the west side of Spartanburg. That is your, why are they going to come and use your product or service? Then state your position with all the facts and achieve results. A lot of you guys are kind of describing your problem still, not so much your solution. You're getting there on describing your target market. I've seen a lot of progress there. You're telling me specifically, I want to attract this person, and there's 3,000 of them in my market. That's good. That's what I want to see. But then you got to back it up with the facts and what results do you project to have. This doesn't have to be a complicated document. This is not an English or history or government term paper. This is simple, to the point. Now that doesn't let you off the hook. I need facts. I need results. But I just want it to be straightforward. See this, don't use jargon. A lot of you guys are using words that I'm not sure you know what it means. Okay? Explain it like you're sitting down and spill the beans. Like, hey man, I've got a business idea. And you don't say, well, let me pontificate upon the circumstances of my business. Heck no, you say, dude, I got a business idea for an app. Here's how it would work. Talk to me like that. Only in more formal writing where you use proper grammar. Show your current progress. What have you done to date? Some of y'all not much. Some of y'all have already stepped out and gotten agreements with stores to carry, say, your cupcakes, or you have priced out food trucks, or you have looked at real estate for your gym, that type of thing. That shows me progress. I love it. Your scores immediately go up when I see progress. And then finish the ask. The business plan isn't, and then this is my business, the end. No, this is my business, and I need $100,000 from you, Truist Bank. I need an investment from you, rich guy. Finish with an ask. And I want your business plan to finish with an ask. In fact, once you finish with the ask and you have a good business plan, then you can write the executive summary, which is just a handful of sentences. And the executive summary should say, my business is this, it solves this problem. In fact, it could be 7 sentences, and it could be each one of these things. That's actually a really good idea. I didn't think about that. That's not a bad idea. But it should finish with an ask. It should say, this is our business. This is why our business is, this is the problem our business solves. This is why our business will work. Here's why you should be interested. And I need 100K, that type of thing. But if you haven't really worked through your budget and shown me why you need 100K, then I'm going to ask, why do you need 100K? So think about that. Then we talk about pivoting. Pivoting is where you change your business idea. Like some of you have pivoted your business. In this class, here's the thing. Your business will always be pivoting. So what really is a pivot? Well, a pivot, there's types of pivots here. There's actually going across, this is out of Lean Startup with Eric Ries as well. That's it. If you're genuinely interested in entrepreneurship, you need to own the Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It's best book. Best book for it. Types of pivots. So let's say you go in thinking you're a gym owner and I want to run a gym, but you look at like Planet Fitness and they give memberships away essentially. So you can't compete with them on price unless you have like a different kind of experience. Well, what if you let them come to your gym for free? Like, wait, what? What does that mean? You can run a gym without collecting cash. You're like, well, that doesn't make sense. What if you make all your money off the smoothie bar inside? What if you make all your money off selling personal training appointments? Okay? Let them in for a free trial and then sell them all the other stuff. What if you hire a massage therapist to be there at your business and they can schedule appointments with them just like they would anywhere else so they can come get their workout on and then go get a back rub? That type of thing. Okay? So remember, pivots are always in play. So what are the different types of pivot strategies? There's a few. Look at this table here. There's a few. Let's start with the first 3 on this first page and then we'll roll down. Zoom in. A product's single feature becomes a whole product. That's kind of like the thing with the gym. Like a single feature might be you're gonna have a healthy smoothie bar, and then you realize you make all your money on the healthy smoothie bar. So really, you're a smoothie bar that happens to have a gym. That's a zoom in pivot. Zoom out. This is the reverse of the zoom in. A single feature is not enough for a customer, so the product needs to add features. Let's say you're a smoothie bar and you realize people kept asking for, man, I wish you had to-go meals that were healthy. So you zoom out, add to-go meals, and oh, by the way, could you add Zumba classes? You zoom out further, and you're a gym that has a smoothie bar and to-go healthy meals. You zoom out. Customer segment. There's a need to change the customer segment, as the one study is not representative of who will buy the product. I could be 100% wrong when I tell you to zoom in on one person. You find those 5 people, they may help you find the real 5 people that want to have your product, but you've got to start somewhere. You can't start with, look, yeah, I'm going to target everybody. That's not going to work. Find me 5 people you can target. Okay? Now, those 5 people might say, you know what? I don't really need this product, but you know what? My Aunt Lucy needs it. And it turns out Aunt Lucy's your target customer segment. You'll find it out. You just got to get out there and mix it up a little. But you'll have to pivot. Customer need. Feedback from customers show that the problem solved is not important. The product needs to be repositioned, or a new product needs to be created to solve a real problem. What you think might be a billion-dollar idea might be terrible. You never know until you get customer feedback. You may have to pivot based on that feedback. Platform, a change from an application to a platform, or the other way around. So like you thought you were going to have a physical business when really it needs to be online, or you thought you were going to have an online business and it really needs to be physical. You think something was an app and it really needs to be like a tangible product. So you may have to shift you may have to pivot your platform. Business architecture. This is a change in high margin, low volume to low margin, high volume. This happens in business to business and business to customers, respectively. So, long story short, people start businesses where they sell to other businesses. You might be an entrepreneur that starts a copying machine business that sells to other businesses, or you might find out that your copying machine is actually really inexpensive and can go well with personal computing, and you end up selling to customers. So the architecture of your business can shift, it can pivot. So always be looking for ideas. This is a friendly reminder in terms of a product. Pfizer had a product that was a heart pill. They put it through, before it had a name, they put it through all kinds of testing for this heart condition they were trying to help people with, trying to change, I was trying to say. And the patients kept coming in with side effects. And the male patients in particular had interesting side effects. And those side effects affected males way differently than females. Like the males really noticed it. I'm going to do a pun here. It was hard not to notice it, but Viagra then pivoted that value, what that product was. They pivoted, and Viagra was born. That's right. Viagra started out as a nameless compound for heart conditions that they happened to notice the side effects on men. Solved a few problems in the old male reproductive system. So what did Pfizer do? They pivoted. They changed what their product was meant for. So it changed who got that product. So moving on. Value capture. These changes in monetization are capturing value, raising capital. Trust me, once Pfizer changed from a heart pill to what you know it to be now, erectile dysfunction, the market scale changed overnight. They were able to, their stock went through the roof. When your stock goes through the roof, you got more money coming in. You can spend more money, you got more capital. That's a value capital pivot. Product pivot. Engine of growth. A startup changes its engine of growth. And actually sticky paid, viral paid growth models. Probably a little more detailed than you need to know for this particular course on that product, but it's throughout the book, the Lean Startup, which centers on the minimum viable product and how you might have to pivot. So a company may change the way it collects its revenue. I had an appointment actually today when we were talking about a sports venue, and the thought was that you might let people in and then have them pay at the end when their check is already done. But it was kind of like a Top Golf type thing where you go in, you're going to play golf, right? Well, you got to pay for the golf up front, but then if you buy a bunch of alcoholic beverages, you have to pay for those after the fact. It's kind of like running up a bar tab. But you definitely want to collect on the golf part up front before your customers get sloshed and don't know how to pay for it later. So there can be a different way of collecting revenue, so the engine for growth. The same thing with the gym. You might find out you're actually making more money on the snack bar or the healthy foods or the smoothies. You may want to shift into that, so your engine of growth actually pivots. Now, your distribution channels can pivot as well. They can change from when a product requires a faster, if I could talk, I'm recording this late in the day, so I'm probably just tired. Requires a faster or broader alternative to reach its customers. So the internet has become a great disruptor of channels. So if you think about it, you used to go to the mall and like cell phone guy was there and he was trying to bother you, and he's at the kiosk. That's a terrible distribution channel. There hasn't been a new mall built in America in 30 years. When was the last time we went to the mall? It's like a ghost town, right? The internet has become the place to distribute things like that. So your channel may pivot. Technology, sometimes achieving a solution that serves an existing customer through cheaper means occurs when their other technology is used. So you've got to stay on top of it. New production equipment comes out. If you're manufacturing, you got to make sure you're not at a competitive disadvantage by using old equipment. There's new software, there's new ways to market, there's social media is forever changing. TikTok wasn't a thing like 4 years ago. Now it is. It's like a big thing. So you may have to pivot in how you use technology. And it's very common in established businesses. So businesses you've heard of, they have to stay on top of, okay, what social media aspects do we want to be on top of? What do we not? It's actually an interesting reading here on Nintendo. Nintendo was like the GOAT back in the day when I was a kid. I don't think I'm this old though. So why failure can lead to success? Let me summarize this entire section for you. The only failure in entrepreneurship is the failure to learn. The only failure in entrepreneurship is the failure to learn. You learn from your failures, and that's a good thing. All right. I don't want you to fail this class. The only way you fail this class is if you fail to learn from my feedback and don't improve your business plan as we go. All right, so there's 4 main categories of failure: marketing, management, financial, innovation. Marketing, basically, you could invent something nobody wants. You could invent something but then get whooped competitively. You could have poor marketing, or you could ignore your customers, which is an interesting marketing plan. Let's see how it works out for them. Management, you might have not the right team. You have people who just can't handle the money, or you have people who just can't market, or people who just aren't customer service oriented. A lot of people need/lack a business model. So you guys are actually taking steps to at least understand what a business model is. Listen, I understand your business models are not going to be perfect. I just want to see effort. I want to see logical sense, and I want to see each section with some thought. Most people just go out there and say, I'm going to start a business. They put 0 on paper. You can already tell through 10, 11 weeks through this course that is a terrible idea. You need to think through a few things, okay? You could have disharmony. You're talking about people, so they could be fighting between the team or the investors. You just have people who just create something they're not passionate about, okay? If you're going through the motions in this class and it's not something that you're passionate about, I'm here to tell you, I don't care. You know the best business plan, it's not going to work. So it's okay. I don't want you switching at this point, but when you do repeat this process, and I want you to repeat this process throughout your life as you create things, pick stuff that you have a passion about. That makes it easy. Financial, naturally people can be without financing and people can run out of cash. That's a big one. Innovation, people lose focus. They pivot into something they didn't need, or they fail to pivot. Okay, so if a business doesn't adapt with the internet age, they're a dinosaur. They're gonna go extinct. These are 101 failed startups. These kind of a postmortem. Lack of a differential product or service. Let you read through. That's really good. See, look at this. You targeted single people ages 13 through 34 who experience in a different way, but maybe your true target was couples with children that are 50 or over. You got to start somewhere. You remember when everybody in the beginning of this class was like, I'm going to target people 0 to 112, male, female, everybody on planet Earth. How in the crap are you going to market to them? At least if you started here, you would market to them and figure out quickly, this is who you need to be. See, this is a failure, but it's not a failure permanently. It's a failure to identify 50 and over with kids immediately. But the sooner you start here, the faster you'll be here, and the less cash you will burn through. Okay, less cash you will burn through, and the more likelihood is that you will survive. Management failure, passion wanes. You ever been going to a business and you can just tell they just don't give a crap? You don't go back, do you? Fighting founders, man, gosh, that's the problem with having partners. Sometimes you can't get along. Lack of planning, no business model plans. By the way, you can click that and go straight to the business model plan that I've been keep talking about in chapter 11 that I've linked like 100 times. Lack of cash, too much debt, lack of capital, not understanding how to balance a checkbook, that kind of thing. Lack of innovation, not changing, not pivoting, that type of thing. Blockbuster did not innovate. Man, I'm telling you what, Friday nights when I was growing up, if I could get over to Lexington, if I could find a way to get over there, this spot right here, I hope you can see my mouse circling. I am circling this. This was the jam. This is where we'd all be hanging out here, okay? And you'd go in and get a cassette video. It seems so lame now. But that was back when, you didn't have to wear masks, or you didn't have to social distance, or people actually hung out and didn't just stare through computer screens all day, or their phone screens, I should say. Fear of failure. The only failure is the failure to learn. If you have a business idea and your first thing you say, I can't tell you because you might steal it from me, you'll never succeed. Because you won't tell the right people. You need to tell those 18 to 34-year-olds so they can tell you, no, you need to sell that like my dad. He's 50 with 3 kids. You need to sell it to him. Signs of fear of failure, believing you're not good enough, you don't belong, you're not smart enough to be successful. Yeah, a guy named Steve Jobs used to think that way. He died one of the richest people on the planet. Your choice. Feeling that you have to be perfect in everything you do, or have the need for approval. It's a bit of a narcissist kind of thing. Here's the deal. You can't control how people think about you. You really can't. You can't control about people talking about you, but you can control your next action. That's why I think the secret to life is really how you respond to things. You can't control them. Respond well. Go out and have massive success. Then they'll have more jelly than Smuckers. Anyway, if you don't want to adapt or be flexible, you're acting like your parents or something, man. You don't want to take on difficult clients and projects. Let me tell you what, there's a ton of money to be made making difficult clients happy. If you can do that, think about the people who go on Yelp. Who goes on Yelp? Is it people who are happy with their business, or people who are just like angry with their meal? It's obviously the people who are angry with their meal. They go on Yelp and complain. If you can find a way to make them happy, they already run their mouth. Won't they talk about how great your restaurant is? Aha. Aha. So everybody feels anxious these days. There's a lot of crap going on. Just get over it, move on. Leaving things for later, that's procrastinating. That's some of you guys are doing with these business plans, and it's slowly choking the life out of your grade in this course. And not following through with plans. That frustrates me. If you have this plan, there are a few of you that have incredible plans. There are even more of you that have good plans that could be incredible if you start working on them a little more. All of you, if you have this decent plan, don't just make it an assignment. If it's something you don't want to pursue, that's okay. But if it's something you do want to pursue, man, just go for it. You could do it. You really could. And then build another one. And then build another one. You're called a serial entrepreneur. Don't be fearful, man. Don't be fearful. Live in faith. Okay? Fear of failure around the world. I'll let you read about that. Shaking hands. Remember we could do that pre-pandemic? That was fun. Failure teaches you. It is life lessons, man. I've learned, I won like a championship as a t-ball player. I didn't learn crap on that. Then I was on like some terrible football teams. Let me tell you what, I built some character in those terrible football teams. Failure teaches. Read about old Minshew here, the Muse. Coping with fear, you just got to get over it, man. You just got to get over it. The difference between fear and courage is courage requires action in the face of fear. So we're all afraid. Let me tell you what, man. We're all afraid. I have stuff I go into and I'm afraid. I'm almost a 42-year-old man. That never goes away. That lets you know you're alive. But you know what? I have courage and I do it anyway. Challenging truth of business ownership, pros and cons. Hey, it's good and bad. Let's talk about the good. You're autonomous. You're your own boss. You can act on your ideas. You don't have to ask permission. You have creative freedom. You have a cool lifestyle if you design it right. Flexibility. If you want to go to Disney World next week, go to Disney World next week. Satisfied career. Be like, crap, I did this, man. You sleep well at night until you don't. Serving customers and employees. You can profit and you can be known in the community as somebody. Cons, so the bad stuff, being in charge, resolving issues, hiring and firing employees, wearing many hats. I don't mean literally. I just took my hat off. I'll put my hat back on. You have to do a lot. You have to cover, like somebody doesn't show up, you got to be the one to fry up the fries, or you got to be the one to do whatever it is that needs to be done. You got to deal with stress, you got to deal with time constraints, and you got to deal with being the manager. You can get beat down, lose focus, and lose your passion. That's trouble. Customer and employee complaints. Hi, Karen. How can we help you? Money and cash flow problems. You got to figure out how to pay the bills. You got to buy stuff without having money, and then you got to pay for stuff without having money. So you got to buy like a deep freezer for your restaurant before you even have the first customer. Think about that. You got to figure out how to make that happen. And then you got to buy a bunch of potatoes and a bunch of steaks before you have your first customer. You got to figure that out. And then you got to hire employees without having the first customer. And you got to figure that out. And then you open your door and pray to goodness that people show up. That's a lot of stress, man. And so you got to deal with loss and financial risk. Get comfortable with it. You can do it. Or you could just work for some jerk boss for the rest of your life. We'll just see about that. Marketing and sales, lots of graphs you can look at here. You know what? If you don't have graphs like this, tables like this, okay, in your business plan yet, you need to find a way to do it. People love visuals. I want to see it. Challenges business for women. Man, I've seen this. My wife's a business owner. She's got 2 beautiful kids. She's had both while owning a business. And if she doesn't work, she doesn't make money. I think you guys, most people have had me for class, have heard me talk about her going to get jobs at hospitals. She's a physician. Going to get jobs at hospitals, and she literally went in with like someone she went to med school with who's male, and they offered him $40,000 more. Seriously, like $40,000 more. And they had the exact same credentials. So there's a pay gap there. Now, at the one hand, that's another way that you could make a change in the world by being a business owner. You just don't play those games. That's one of the things. So certain industries are tough for women to get into. People think, it's traditionally a male industry. Lower sales, fewer employees. Sadly, in terms of loans, women get less capital, which makes no sense because my wife is much more financially responsible than I am. And sometimes they're not taken seriously. Ladies, if you're listening to this, get on Instagram, and I want you to follow a few female entrepreneurs. Let me see, we talked about a few of them on here. This young lady from, let me scroll back up here, right here. She's a good follow. Where is she? Going back, right here. Catherine Minshew, co-founder of The Muse. I follow, we had her in the previous chapter, and of course I'm trying to think of it, and it goes right out of my head. The founder of Spanx, which is a company, an undergarment company in Atlanta, and hang on, I'm going to find her name, hang on with me. You know what, if this was real lecture, I'd be doing this too. It's Jesse Itzler's wife. And he's an interesting follower too. Come on, there he is. And his wife, Sarah Blakely owns Spanx. She is an incredible follow on Instagram. She's great. She's really funny. She brings her kids in there, and she also talks about her business. So, ladies, that's a couple people that you could follow that are just interesting, entertaining follows. So challenges for business owners and minorities, same doggone thing. It's harder to get loans. People expect less. I don't know if it's stereotypes, outright racism, or whatever it is. There is a way, though, if you're a minority and a woman, to turn that on its head. So there are different chambers of commerce that specialize specifically in minorities and women. Minority Business and Development Agency, MBDA. The Small Business Administration has incredible loans and grants for women and minorities. So if you're a woman or a minority and you're building a business plan for me in this class, go over to the Small Business Administration website and pull some grants that you think you could apply for. And when we get to our financial section, don't make it all of it, but make it part of it. If I happen to know you're an African American female and you're running the business and you're trying to figure out how to get a loan and you do not reference the Small Business Administration, I'm going to be scratching my head because there's some tremendous opportunities there as well to try to level the playing field. So managing, following, adjusting initial plan. Just remember your business plan is something you tweak all the time. You're going to start out with a really lean plan. You're going to try to follow it. That's your methodology. We're talking about your operations plan this week. I need you to read that example from La Vida Lola and also my directions so that you can knock that out. Basically, if I'm coming into your restaurant, what does that look like when I walk through the door? How do I order? How do I pay? How do I get my food? When I'm finished eating, what do I do? Tell me all of that. I want to know your experience from A to Z. And then look at the instructions for all the other stuff. You guys should remember this. I showed this to you, and we had a little video in reading about the lean model canvas early in this class. And we started here. Like, what's your problem? What's the solution? How are you going to measure success? Does this sound familiar? What's your cost structure? What's your value proposition? Why are they going to buy your service versus someone else's? How are you going to build relationships? How are you distributing it? What are your specific customer segments, and how does that affect your revenue streams? These are all the pieces to building a business. If you can put something in every one of these boxes with a factual statement, not just here's what we plan on doing, here's how I think it's going to work. No, here's how it's going to work. Here's why people are going to buy it. Here's how I'm going to measure it. Here's what things cost. Here's the money I'm making. This side needs to be bigger than that side. Here's how we're going to maintain customer relationships. Here's how we're going to deliver it, and here's who we're delivering to. Oh, by the way, here's how many there are. This is in my brain when I'm giving you feedback on every one of your sections. Some of you guys say I need more metrics. Whoa, you didn't give me a good enough cost structure there. What's your pricing plan? How are you going to deliver it? How are you going to get repeat business? Why would they pick my business over somebody else's? And who, doggone it, specifically do you anticipate is going to be coming through that door? And you know that might change. All of these things might pivot. Every one of them. Okay? So I want you to read through this. It's almost like if you do the reading and listen to this video, I try to give you a lot of tips, and you actually read the instructions for the assignment, this class gets real easy. It really, really does. I don't even care about that. Scroll. Hang on. There's one more thing down here I really wanted to cover. Business life cycle. Business life cycle. So you have a startup, right? You guys are down here somewhere. You hopefully have rapid growth, and then you start to mature. You think king of the world. Careful, what comes up must go down. You start to decline. You can be creatively destroyed. You can be replaced by a new product or service. And then you need to either die as a company and move on and go do something else, or experience a rebirth where you retool your business or your product or service to a point that it can be either do something else or you produce something else. And then this starts over again, startup, rapid growth, maturity. But if you go down here to death, you got to start all over again. So that's the business life cycle. Growth stages, maturity, decline, you got it, rebirth, death stage, read those things, man. What is your long-term growth strategy? What are you going to do when sales start, leveling off? Because they will. How are you going to give a little charge in the arm? Is there a new market out there? Could you start selling it in other countries? Okay. Could you go global? What are your options? Licensing, franchising, joint ventures, mergers, and acquisitions. Some of you guys might actually be creating a business that you can eventually license to other people. Some of you guys have some really cool ideas for cupcake businesses or dessert businesses or ice cream trucks or food trucks or financial firms or gyms or healthy food options. I'm just going through all these makeup, lines, that type of thing. You guys have some great ideas. Is that something you can license to somebody else? Is that something else you could franchise out? Is this something that you can join in with an existing business and do a joint venture? Would you like for CVS to buy your entire makeup line, be acquired? Because then they could pay you a ton of money and you could retire. Are you going to have strategic alliances? What are you going to partner with? Or are you going to be like those weird products that's in that Delta Sky Mall advertisement every time I fly? It's like some interesting stuff that I'm tempted to buy and somehow I never do. I'll let you read about growth strategies, pros and cons. I just expect you to have a growth strategy. So hang on. Sarah Blakely, good follow on Instagram if you're so inclined. Keep scrolling. They see me scrolling, they're hating, patrolling, trying to catch me recording dirty, By the way, the entertainment factor in this class just went through the roof. I know you're enjoying it. And all that just to get right here. That was Chapter 10, Launch for Growth to Success. Success comes from hard work. Hard work comes from action. Action comes from you deciding. And when you decide, success becomes possible. Noble love for you. Appreciate